morning, and welcome to your neighborhood Unitarian Universalist congregation. My name is Susanne Maziarz. I'm the music director here, and I have your announcements, many announcements from our active community. Ongoing at Neighborhood, Spirit Choir is meeting Monday nights from 7 to 9 p.m. We rehearse here in the sanctuary. If you're interested in joining the choir, talk to me. Also on a weekly basis, we're offering Pilates. Is it? Thank you. We're offering Pilates class Wednesdays from 11 to 12, also here in the sanctuary. You can talk to me for more info about that as well. And our neighborhood gallery, as you can see from the front and upstairs, there's a current show called Coping, COVID Creations. Take a moment to visit the gallery after service today or anytime during the week. Harvest Ontario Walk is happening Saturday, October 1st at 10 a.m. in Brampton to Stop Highway 413. You can talk to Nancy for more info and about how to get involved. On October 16th, there will be a multi-faith picnic at Withrow Park starting at 1:30 p.m. until 3:30 with our East Toronto multi-faith community partners. All are welcome, and you can talk to Laura, who's there, for more info about the picnic. And here, for our own community, we're having a potluck dinner on October 22nd. That's a Saturday at 6 p.m. to meet Reverend Fred Wooden, who's going to be working with us in teaching us about interim ministry and who we are as a community. On Sunday, there will be a message from Fred and also a workshop following the service entitled Hallmarks of Liberal Religion. So hope you'll come out to the potluck, the service, and the workshop. Attention congregants, we're seeking neighborhood delegates for Unicamp's AGM. That's happening that Saturday in the morning, 10 a.m. on Zoom. If you're interested in representing us for Unicamp, you can talk to our president, Allison, or Lauren. Thanks, everyone. We need at least 2 more greeters to help out on Sundays. If that could be you, please talk to Luann. The fundraising committee is seeking canvassers to hit the Danforth and encourage donations for our upcoming Peace and Love auction. If you can help, speak to Luann. Small groups are starting. Joining a small group is a great way to connect with your fellow congregants and explore topics that will empower spiritual growth. Information was sent out in Monday's announcements, and there are sign-up sheets on the table in the cappuccino room. This fall, we're offering Cakes for the Queen of Heaven with Moira, English Country Dancing with Catherine, and the Act of Hope book group, which is led by Natalie, Bruce, and I. The C committee is not meeting today after service. The meeting has been canceled. Sorry about that. Tea with the Minister. Beginning September 23rd, join Reverend Pat Trudeau, who's our speaker today, in the minister's office on Fridays at 4 for tea time and conversation. This informal visit's an opportunity to meet and share ideas over a good hot cup of tea. You can also stay after service today to meet Rev Pat or just to say hello. I mentioned the multi-faith community picnic. Here is a bigger slide about it, happening on Sunday, October 16th from 1:30 to 3:30. This week's question to the community. Can you recall the first time you encountered someone of a race other than your own? Can you recall the first time you were aware of racial discrimination? Ponder this topic. We hope you'll be willing to share your reflections in the service when the time comes. And next Sunday, our theme is Baha'i. Our speaker is a member of the Baha'i community here in Toronto, Rolando Aguilera, and music will be provided by Suzanne and friends.
Good morning.
Morning, Bruce.
This is my first time doing this, so give me some grace. We welcome you to our Neighborhood Unitarian Universalist Congregation service. Thank you for joining us. My name is Bruce, and I'll be your service weaver this morning. Now we have nowhere to go, nothing else to do, so now let us bring our hearts, minds, and spirits together as one, as we give greeting and gratitude for being with each other. This is our threshold moment. Let's enter sacred space together. Our service begins now. Chris, you want to light the chalice for us?
This morning I'm going to be featuring a set of pieces by Anishinaabe composer Beverly McIver. She was commissioned by the Canada Council for the Arts to write a piece for each of the province and territories' flowers. And so she took her own stories and stories from her friends across the country and inspiration from the look and how the flowers grow. So for the prelude this morning, I'll be presenting number 8 from the set, Western Red Lily, the flower of Saskatchewan.
I'd like to offer a land acknowledgement. And this land acknowledgement, I think, today is offered in the spirit of the eighth principle, which is the focus of today's service. We acknowledge our Unitarian principles that seek to address racism that led and leads to violent deaths of Black and Indigenous peoples. We know the strong connection between rampant anti-Black racism and settler colonialism that permits inequalities, injustices, poverty, and exclusion in Canadian society. We acknowledge the historical presence and past owners of the land in which we are holding this morning's service. We are indebted to Indigenous peoples from whom we took this land. Our hope is that someday Indigenous peoples in our nation will be true partners in what we call Canada, and to truly benefit, and able to truly benefit from the lands where they once held full ownership. Good morning and welcome. It's challenging to make a transition from an acknowledgement like that. So we welcome Reverend Pat Trudeau today as our guest minister. Reverend Pat will be doing the question to the community, the meditation, and the message. Reverend Pat will be joined by Nancy Vander, Plaats, Nancy, for Joys and Concerns. Chris Emmanuel is our chalice, our firekeeper today. And Nancy will also be looking after the offertory. Our musical director is Susanne Maziarz, and Zoriah Getchell facilitates our Sunday Child and Caregiver program and will lead our time for all ages. Here at NUUC, we are open to many beliefs and learn from many traditions. We welcome all people to our community. If you're visiting us in person for the first time, we welcome you and encourage you to stay after the service for coffee time. Get to know us a little bit better. Our services can vary from week to week. This is a good example today. So we encourage you to sample several to get a better feel for who we are. Our mission at Neighborhood is to empower spiritual growth and shared action for the care of our world. And our theme for this month is awakening. The eighth principle calls on us to accountably dismantle racism and systemic barriers to full inclusion in ourselves and in our institutions. So this is both an individual and a collective journey. So for the reading today, I've chosen words from the Anishinaabe writer Richard Wagamese from his book, Embers, and One Ojibwe's Meditations, I think is the subtitle. In this passage, Wagamese imagines a dialogue with an elder he refers to as old woman. There are many such dialogues in the book. To me, this dialogue expresses beautifully what the eighth principle, indeed the other 7 principles as well, asks of me, and captures both the challenges and rewards of this journey for each of us and for all of us. Me. What's the hardest spiritual thing I'm ever going to have to do? Old woman. To see every person as a gift. Me. What kind of gift? Old woman. The best kind. Based on the way you receive them. Me. I don't get it. Old woman. I know. But you will. If you receive others as worthy, lovable, spiritual creations, perfect, just the way they are, you get to see the highest possible version of who you are. You get to be that, experience that. and you become a gift to the world. Me, sounds hard. Old woman, the longer you think that, the harder it gets. The funny thing is, she was right. Now is the time to greet your neighbors. After you've greeted a few neighbors, turn to the cameras on the back wall and offer a greeting to those on Zoom, joining us virtually. Susanne will sound a chime to end. Now please take a moment to greet the neighbors around you.
Hello, everybody. It's Susanne and Chodamori. Good to see you all.
No, Dolly, hi Yvette, hi Sigmund,
Hey, Julie.
Anna, Diddly D, Tara, Barb. Who's that? Yes.
Hey, Dolly.
I have to figure out a way to change my name.
Okay. Thank you. Now I invite you to join me in reading our opening words, which will now appear on the screen. Let us cast the circle of a sacred space here. Let us cast the circle of a cherished space here, a space of safety, a place of forgiveness, a place of love. If we want the world to change, we must craft in our space and in ourselves the seeds that grow a different kind of life, a life of graciousness, of creative intelligence, a place of life and spirit for ourselves and our families. Susanne, you have our first song, I think?
I sure do.
Thank you.
I'd like you to join me all on the chorus of this song written by Melanie Demore with the help of 300 grade 3 and 4s. So I'll sing a phrase, you sing it back to me, you'll join me on the chorus. It goes, we gotta hold everybody, we gotta hold everybody up. Let's try that. We gotta hold everybody, we gotta hold everybody up. Second phrase a little bit different. We gotta hold everybody, we gotta hold everybody up, hold everybody up. Let's try that. We gotta hold everybody, we gotta hold everybody up, hold everybody up. And that section is hold everybody up, 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 hold everybody up, up, hold everybody up, up, hold everybody up. Fourth time, just one up at the end. Maybe it would have a little bit more energy if we put some into our bodies too. Yeah. Let's try that chorus. Can I get the slides up, Mike, for the lyrics, please? Thank you. Let's try that whole chorus. We gotta hold everybody. We gotta hold everybody up. We gotta hold everybody. We gotta hold everybody up. Hold everybody up, up, up. Hold everybody up, up, up. Hold everybody up, up, up. Hold everybody up. And I got the verse to myself. Just because you look like you and I look like me, it doesn't mean we can't be friends. You're not my enemy. We gotta hold everybody. We gotta hold everybody up. We gotta hold everybody. We gotta hold everybody up. Hold everybody up, up, up. Hold everybody up, up, up. Hold everybody up, up, up. Hold everybody up. People all around the world sometimes feel so sad But when others show they care, well, things don't seem so bad. We gotta hold everybody. We gotta hold everybody up. We gotta hold everybody. We gotta hold everybody up. Hold everybody up, up, up. Hold everybody up, up, up. Hold everybody up, up, up. Hold everybody up. Thank you, Reverend Dr. King, for showing us what love can bring. Thank you, Madiba, for lifting up South Africa. We gotta hold everybody. We gotta hold everybody up. We gotta hold everybody. We gotta hold everybody up. Hold everybody up, up, up. Hold everybody up, up, up. Hold everybody up, up, up. Hold everybody up.
Everybody. I am going to invite all of the young and young at heart to come up to the front because it's time for our Time for All Ages. So today we're talking about the 8th principle. Yeah, lots of young at heart. There you go. So today we're talking about the 8th principle, and we've talked about the 8th principle before, what it is, what it means, and what it calls for us to do. So today we're talking about ways that we might be able to do that, things that we might be able to do to help ourselves live out the 8th principle. And one of my favorite things to do is something I call centering, and it's where I find and read and share stories and celebrations and successes of people who have been oppressed. And in that light, I'm going to share this story with you all today. It's called My Rainbow. It was written by Trinity and Deshauna Neal, who are actually the characters in the book. This is a story of real-life experiences by people. And I particularly enjoy this story. I hope you do too. Trinity played with her siblings in the warm morning sunlight. Trinity stroked Peter Porker's long mane. She loved soft things, just like many kids with autism, and Peter's hair was perfect. Music sang from Lucian's cello, enveloping the room in tranquility and making it feel safe. "Let's play, Trin," Hyperion said. Their sparkly shirt glittered like stars. Sometimes Trinity and Hyperion's dolls were video gamers. Sometimes they were astronauts. Little Thane's toy was a hot dog this time. Their dolls could be anything, just like Mom said they could. Trinity stayed with her doll long after everyone found other things to do. She stared at its long curly hair and beautiful dark skin. She touched her own short hair. "What's the matter, baby?" Mom asked. Trinity blew out a gust of breath in frustration. "I can't be a girl." "Oh," Mom said. "Why is that?" Because why? Trinity glanced up. "I need long hair." "Girls can have short hair. See?" Mom ran a hand over her short black hair. "I'm a girl too." Trinity's frown only deepened. "I don't think you understand, Mom. I'm a transgender girl." Mom blinked with surprise. Trinity's gender was part of what made her a masterpiece, just like her autism and her black skin, but Trinity was trying to tell her something important. Mom closed her laptop and sat down next to Trinity. "I'm listening." Trinity let out a big breath, as if she'd been holding it forever. "People don't care if cisgender girls like you have short hair, but it's different for transgender girls. I need long hair." Mom thought for a long moment. "You're right, it is different for me." She peered at each of her children. "We are all a little different from one another. You're a beautiful rainbow, Trinity." "I don't feel like a rainbow right now." Mom knew Trinity struggled to grow her hair long. She hated how it made her itchy when it was growing out. But Trinity knew herself best of all, and if she said she needed long hair, she needed long hair. With a sigh, Trinity picked up a pink comb and began smoothing her doll's hair. When Dad came home from work, Mom was still thinking about what Trinity had said. "I have to make things right," Mom said, "but how?" "I don't know," Dad said. Mom didn't know either. Lucian peered around the corner. "I think I can help." Mom grabbed her purse. Lucian led her across the street to the beauty store. There were so many choices. "That one's too long," Lucian said. "Trinity doesn't like hair touching her neck." "And that one's too straight," Mom said. "She's a beautiful black girl, and her curly hair is already perfect." "None of these feel right," she sighed. Lucian thought hard. "I know what we need." Trinity needs her very own rainbow. That night, as all her children slept, Mom sat down with her laptop, a hair thread, a hair needle, thread, and a wig cap. She had never made a wig before. She threaded the hair into the cap like the online videos showed. She sewed late into the night, weaving love into every row. The wig had to be just right for Trinity. She poked herself with the needle a few times, got the thread tangled in the curls, and had to chase Peter when he snatched a strand of curly purple hair. But she weaved and weaved until the clock struck 3 a.m. She finally dozed off, hoping her daughter would love it. Mom awoke to the sound of sniffling and sobbing. She gasped. Trinity was crying. Mom dashed to the bathroom. The wig was big and fluffy on Trinity's head. The springy, curly teal blue, dark pink, and purple hair that Lucian had chosen lit up the whole room. Trinity's eyes sparkled. She was crying tears of joy. She ran her fingers through the curls. "It's me, Mom. My hair has finally come. It's my rainbow." Lucian bounded into the bathroom with the rest of the family behind him to see Trinity's reaction. "Thank you," Trinity said. "I love my rainbow." "And we love you, my heart." The end. Thank you all for listening to that wonderful celebration of Black and trans and autistic joy.
So this is a unique time in the service when we invite you to share a joy or concern in your life. So please.
And the final candle we light for all the joys and concerns that are silent in all our hearts.
The meditation that I've chosen is one, it's a breathe in and breathe out. This one is by Edwin Lyne. So just ask you to breathe in and breathe out with me, and I'll say the words. We breathe in faith, breathe it in. And exhale hopelessness. We breathe in gratitude, breathe it in. And exhale indifference. We breathe in beauty and exhale insensitivity. We breathe in joy and exhale sadness. We breathe in kindness and exhale harshness. We breathe in forgiveness and exhale resentments. And finally, we breathe in love and exhale isolation.
you continue connecting with your breath, I'm going to share Purple Violet, the flower of New Brunswick. Welcome you gently back into our sanctuary. And I'm pleased to introduce Reverend Pat Trudeau. Mike, could you pull up the slide for me, please? Reverend Pat Trudeau and her family joined Neighborhood as members back in 2007, and she was actively involved in Sunday services. She was ordained at Neighborhood as a Unitarian Universalist minister in late 2019. Pat now serves as minister at the Unitarian Fellowship of Northwest Toronto. Together with her husband, Wilburn Hayden, and son, Donovan Trudeau Hayden, she offers sermons on anti-racism and workshops in dismantling racism. She will be serving Neighborhood in the next few months as Minister of Pastoral Care. Pastoral care includes discussions on spiritual direction, dealing with decisions in your life, or with difficulties in relationship, illness, parenting, or retirement. Pat will be on site every Friday from 11 to 5 and having tea time at 4 p.m., as I mentioned. You can drop in or make an appointment by contacting Pat via email or phone, and she'll be sticking around after service for you to meet her personally. Thank you, Pat.
There is no power for change greater than a community discovering what it cares about, a quote by Margaret Wheatley. I am so pleased to be with you today and to be asked to speak about moving forward in realizing the eighth principle. There are some Zoom guests from Northwest. Northwest is the congregation that I serve, and they are here via Zoom, so welcome. I've got to say, it's just so lovely to be in this space with you, and just, just to see how you've come through. This is lovely, and I'm so proud of you all. So last week, I was recovering from COVID, and I'm testing negative, just so you know. You can come up to me. So I indulged, and it was rough. I indulged in watching the many documentaries and news about Queen Elizabeth and the monarchy. There's a little part of me that's a bit of a monarchist. The afternoon tea, the clothes. But after watching the funeral, I thought, I've got something here. I remarked to my family that I had noticed that there were no Black or racialized pallbearers, and how the handlers had missed an opportunity. And then I waited for them to say, good for you. But they didn't. Wilburn and Donovan looked at each other and exchanged a look, and they looked at each other in that special way that lets me know I missed something. And then they laughed. This happens at our table. Donovan explained to me, missed opportunity, Mom? For what? It would just have been a performance. Their world is white, and having a Black pallbearer would only misrepresent that system. Sigh, sigh, sigh. I never get it right. I never seem to get it right, especially when I'm trying to get credit for my wokeness, my awareness. And they were right. Representation is important, but it's not enough. Sometimes I wonder if I have any business doing this work of racial justice as a white person who has not lived a history of oppression. My partner, Dr. Wilburn Hayden, who's sitting right over here, has lived the history. He grew up poor and Black in the segregated South. He is a scholar who is knowledgeable and a researcher who's knowledgeable in Black history and critical race theory. As a humanist, Unitarian educator and writer, he is not only concerned with the impact of racism on society, but he lives it every day. He can't help but live it. He can't put it aside. Our son Donovan is an artist and an activist who is giving a series of talks about racism and the Eighth Principle across Canada and US and various Unitarian congregations and fellowships. He has spoken here. He's from here. He's the one that chose this congregation. He told us, this is the one, this is where we're going. And these two are, believe me, a hard act to follow. So I think about it, and then I remember that there's an importance and a necessity for white people talking one-on-one with one another and with candor and with courage. Also, I have skin in the game, or sometimes I say I have kin in the game, with personal experience as the spouse of a Black man and the biological mother of a Black son. I remind myself also that I have a theological understanding of racism and anti-racism based on years of study, readings, personal reflections, and a grasp of Unitarian Universalist church history. Reading Unitarian Universalist, theologian Paul Razor has helped me to appreciate the spiritual work that is needed. That's what theology is, it's spiritual work. Razor argues, quote, the evil of racism lies deeper than the institutional structures and systemic power relations. It has a spiritual dimension that liberals all too often fail to recognize, end of quote. As a result, despite study, analysis, and good intentions, we are sometimes unable to identify the evil that lies behind racism. I see that as Unitarians, we are often so quick to deny evil, the concept of evil, and promote the universal goodness of humanity. And we miss that reality. There is evil in the world. Some ministers and theologians disagree with me on that. Racism is one of those wicked problems that persists despite good intentions. It's always with us. White people do not have to and do not want to change a system that works for them. That's the core of the problem. For years, I have grounded my theology, my spiritual understanding in the 7 principles. But there was always something missing for me. Passing and adopting the 8th principle was kind of like adding that 8th dinner guest at the table. Our dinner table is set up. 7 doesn't work. It completes the table. Moreover, it gave voice to the need for action and accountability and in living our principles. So my primary social identities locate me within the power structures and privilege of the dominant culture, being white, of Euro-Canadian settler ancestry, straight, cisgender, and non-disabled. I must be accountable for my actions, dedicating myself to building a radically inclusive, diverse, beloved community is part of my calling as a Unitarian and as a minister, and also as a member of this Trudeau Hayden family. The call shows up in my congregational, UU congregational ministry, and also in my denominational ministry, where I can use my skills and passion to support community transformation. I am committed to living the CUC vision and acting accountably to dismantle racism and systemic barriers to full inclusion in ourselves and our institutions. Now, one of the problems that I get into is with my son. Our son is so quick to hold up the mirror. He holds it so close to my face. I sometimes feel like Hamlet's mother. Thou hast held the mirror too close, and I see my faults. And it happens when I play the role of the great white hope. He uses both humor and confrontation in ways that definitely get my attention. I sometimes find that I'm trying to prove to my family and racialized colleagues and friends that I'm not just another well-meaning white interloper wanting vindication of and for my people's history of racial cruelty. I want that stamp of approval. I want cred. I often seek credit as one of the good white people who is worthy of standing as an ally. And just when I think I've got it right and I think I'm an ally, somebody says, no, we don't need allies, we need collaborators. Okay. For the past 3 years, I was one of the people who engaged, one of many people who engaged in getting UU members and ministers on board to explore the 8th principle for Canadian Unitarians. It was an uphill climb, and the work, and sometimes it was rough. And the work, there was rancor. And the work continues as we live into the 8th principle. At an historic meeting, as Bruce said, at an historic meeting on November 27th, 2021, Canadian Unitarian Universalists adopted an 8th principle. It is a magnificent and significant milestone, one that marks the first update to our principles since 1985, when the 7th principle, affirming the interdependent web of all existence, was added to the 6 principles. Was it perfect? Is it perfect? No, not by a mile. Some parts of the original statement were left behind. We edited. The original phrasing contained the word love, as in beloved community. Being part of the process also meant letting go of some of the idealism and supporting a version that could be passed. The time for debating, the time for discussing, for wordsmithing had ended, was at an end. Some people are still doing it. But there was relief and celebration when it did pass, and pride. So now there is the work of making it so. We did something that our American counterparts Unitarian counterparts have yet to do, although hundreds of American congregations have adopted the eighth principle on their own. It will come to vote. It will come to a national vote next year at General Assembly, and Wilburn and I hope to be there. So now what? Now what? It's been almost a year, November 27th, and I sometimes witness inertia and confusion as to how to actualize the principle, as if we're looking at a map of how to get to the promised land. And guess what? There is no map, and there is no promised land. There is no checklist for us. Certainly the times we have lived through are confusing, and they have been more than trying. Yes, there needed to be time to heal from the rancor and bitter words exchanged before, during, and after the passage of the eighth principle. CUC has been holding services and workshops, which I encourage you to attend online. As Canadian Unitarian Universalists, we must be careful to do the work at the congregational level and at the personal level in ourselves. In fairness, the work of keeping our congregations alive has been daunting, hellish, as members dropped and finances dwindled everywhere in our denomination. And this is happening in other denominations as well. Neighborhood has been doubly challenged by major transition to a new location, a daunting year, well, some would say, somebody reminded me 2 years, and loss of the minister. Yet Neighborhood has formed an eighth principle committee and offered services that are racially inclusive in words and music. The Sunday services reflect that commitment. I applaud you, and I am so proud of you. And we've borrowed from you a little bit. With permission, we've used some of the choir pieces at Northwest recorded. Yay. Wilburn and I are often asked, what can we do? Do. I hear you saying, just tell me and I'll do it, we'll do it. But there's no checklist and there's no all-inclusive guide. There are only practices that slowly expand our capacity for true inclusion. It starts with self-exploration rather than a neat plan of action. Reading, journaling, and talking with other UUs about race and racism. Interrogating ourselves, our beliefs, and our own history are important. This work is deep because racism is so deeply rooted in Canadian society. We have breathed it in with the air. We have taken it in with our mother's milk. My own practice and discipline involves daily reading. It's just so tempting sometimes to make my practice recommending, it's sort of biblio-anti-racism, to recommend books like Me and White Supremacy, Layla Saad. I just acquired Blue Notes, an anthology of love and justice and liberation. All Our Relations, Tanya Talaga. And What Can White People Do Next? From Allyship to Coalition, Emma Dabiri. And I brought some of the books that I use and have read, and a binder of some of the conversations. So I hope you'll look at that. But that's the easy part. I make it a practice to set the timer and I read in the mornings. I need to actually read them and discuss them. The hard part for me is planning workshops with Wilburn Hayden. Despite the appearances of marital bliss and marital harmony, we really get into it. I'm telling you, this is one of the toughest things that we do together. I am reluctant to defer to his lived experience. And he is reluctant to see that I am right. I am right. I am white and I am right. We come from different worlds, and it's never more apparent than when we work together. The tension hangs in the air. We get there, but it's a slug. White Unitarians are often reluctant to see themselves as participants in white supremacy. At the workshops we do on anti-racism, participants in workshops are very quick to tell us stories about how their penniless ancestors were discriminated against when they immigrated from Europe, and how they found the strength to persevere despite the struggle. They made it, and so can others. Consequently, they claim to understand the history of racial discrimination and oppression. No, it's not the same. Nothing in that discrimination is about the color of one's skin or one's race. One of the characteristics of white supremacy is changing the subject and centering on white people's narratives. The comparison is a deflection, a distraction that needs to be disrupted. The community question that I offer to you is to explore, can you recall the first time that you encountered someone of a race different than your own? Can you recall the first time that you were aware of racial discrimination? I'll tell you mine. For me, it happened at age 5, when our surly grandfather called us out to the front porch, called the kids to the front porch to see the black rag man down the street collecting our refuse. He just pointed him right out. "Come see the coon," he said, like he was a circus sight. He shouted, he made fun of him. Only years later did I realize that he was a racist and that was a racist act. When he was dying and referring to his nurse as that little coon nurse. In addition to workshops, Wilburn and I have begun what we are calling simply conversations about racism in Canada in UU circles. The conversations are unstructured and have yielded some cathartic and insightful moments. I resisted this format due to my own anxieties about structure. Everything in my white cultural background tells me that sessions go better when there is an agenda, set questions, structure, time frames, tight time frames, and predetermined outcomes. What if it all goes off track and there is unresolved conflict? God, what if people are uncomfortable? What about propriety and control? This is my stuff rooted in white supremacy. But I'm still working this out. As Canadian Unitarians, we can never get it right, but we can become engaged in the internal and external work. We can have conversations about a wicked problem with no immediate fix. We can listen and get specific about what needs to happen in our homes, in our neighborhoods, our cities, our provinces, our province, and in ourselves, to ensure that our history is not repeated and that we are truly, truly a mosaic of colors and races. So in closing, I want to leave you with a quote by theologian Richard Gilbert, one of my favorites. "This work I know will not be completed in my lifetime, but I wish to work at repairing the world while I may. It is my mystic identification with this creative process that prompts me to continue." Thank you.
Our congregations rely on so much volunteer time, energy, and effort to sustain us, to move us forward. And of course, we also need the energy we can only get through financial means, So we need to keep our lights on and pay our staff and keep our programs moving forward. So please, greeters, oh, you have. We thank all those who pay monthly online. If you're online, the button is on your screen where you can donate as well, but we also accept donations here in person.
For the offering, I'll share white trillium, Ontario's flower.
For your generosity of spirit and your material generosity, we thank you.
Mike, if you could pull up that last slide. I'm going to share with you a song by Batia Levine called We Rise, and we're all going to sing together. Wanted to give you a bit of an introduction to the song that she wrote herself. So this song came through right after the 2016 election. We're talking the US here. It was a moment of deep fear and despair, and we watched a campaign built on white supremacy and racism win. The results came in a few weeks after I had returned from Standing Rock, and in the wake of the election, I felt a profound sense of hopelessness. I needed to believe that collective power and resistance was possible in the face of such great unknown. I reached inward for a prayer, for a shred of hope, and what I found was the powerful and prayerful resistance I had witnessed and experienced at Standing Rock. In that moment, I started to sing, praying into my bones that vision of holy resistance. This song is one small attempt at holding on to that vision and praying it into our collective bones. Since 2016, we've been through so much. This song feels as potent for me today as it did when it came to me. In this time when white supremacy and fascism are so clearly lifting their heads, may we truly center the resistance and vision of Black folks, Indigenous and Native peoples, communities of color, immigrants, and refugees. May we believe in our collective power and resilience and learn to live it as we work to dismantle the oppressive forces within ourselves and in the world around us. No matter what struggles lie ahead, may we keep fighting and rising for and with each other. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. We're right here. Can we rise in spirit, in energy? I'll teach you this song. We'll sing it together. So, goes. We rise, humbly hearted. Let's try that. We rise, humbly hearted. And the next two lines have the same melody. Let's try it together. Rise, won't be divided. Rise, with spirit to guide us. And the last last rise just goes back up like this. Rise. Let's do that together. Rise. And the refrain goes like this. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. Let's try that together. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. Let's do the whole song, everyone. We rise. Spirit to guide us right. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. We rise. Children rise, elders with wisdom rise, ancestors surround us rise. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. We rise. All of the children rise. Elders with wisdom rise. Ancestors surround us rise. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. We rise. All of the children rise. Elders with wisdom rise. Ancestors surround us rise. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. We rise up from the wreckage, rise with tears and with courage, rise fighting for life, rise in hope, in prayer. We find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. Yeah, nice harmonies. Thank you. And I invite up Chris Emmanuel to extinguish our chalice.
glasses. Our closing words are from the eighth principle. We, the member congregations of the Canadian Unitarian Council, covenant to affirm and promote individual and communal action that accountably dismantles racism and systemic barriers to full inclusion in ourselves and our institutions. May we make it so. May we break down the barriers day by day, one brick at a time. Thank you.